who would you consider, say, the best three record producers of the last 75 years? So maybe I'll give one if you want to give two. I'll start with George Martin, maybe, and you can. It's a safe one.
Well, of course, George Martin. Talk about bringing the best out of people, and talking about knowing how to capitalize on their strengths and not trying to make them something that they're not. Understanding their innate artistry and expressing that. Now, I've got three here, so maybe we'll have a total of four. But in that vein, I would nominate the late, great Gus Dudgeon. Gus Dudgeon, whom I worked with on one record many, many years ago. He was a gentleman and an outstanding producer who, pound for pound, probably sold as many, if not more, records than most everybody, because Gus Dudgeon did all of those Elton John records.
Right.
In the early decades of Elton's career, Gus Dudgeon was brilliant. But I'd also nominate my two heroes, Sam Phillips of Sun Records, and, of course, Rick Hall from Fame Studios down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Rick Hall was great for knowing his listening musical mind, but his exacting standards. When I think about this, it just makes me wild because it's so beautiful to me. Rick Hall would have some of the greatest players in all of the Muscle Shoals areas. He'd have the Swampers in there, and he'd have Aretha Franklin or Etta James or Percy Sledge, hearing these great players, and for
Otis
hours,
Redding, I think, was in there as well.
Yes, and hours at a time, his finger would be on the talkback button saying, no, 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 no. Now, for a lesser producer, they would have said yes on the first take and we'd have been out the door. But Rick Hall knew how to get music out of people. He knew what they were capable of, and he knew how to push them to get an even better performance than they thought possible. So he's one of my heroes for that reason. And then, of course, the great Sam Phillips of Sun Records, who discovered, although that's not an accurate word, but he's responsible for launching the careers of Johnny Cash and Ike Turner and Elvis Presley and Roy Orbison and Carl Perkins and so many, many artists. Jerry Lee Lewis, of course.